to the weekend, which comes up just about many today. Friday is the weekend. So I was about to say later this evening, folks are ready to take some time off. But make sure when you're enjoying the weekend, you take some time for hour. That is rest and recreation. Of course, you will be doing some reading because that is also important as well. Okay, as far as that is concerned, let me just hail out those persons who are following the live streams. Thank you so much. If you want to know how to get to the live stream, let me remind you, you just go to tvcarib.com, and when the page opens, it leads you to listen live, whatever is on live. You'll be able to see it, in which case you'll be seeing the faces behind the conversation on this program here at 12 noon every weekday. Or you can go to my website as well, cmorejournal.com. When that page opens, there's a banner right at the top. Simply click on it and you're in. I want to say a special good afternoon to folks on the northern part of the island, especially your boys there in Gallows Bay. Special good afternoon to you all. And thank you for listening and for making sure that you follow us to be up to speed with what's happening. All right, it just so happened that my guest today hails from the northern part of the island. He is the president of the collectivity of St.Maarten. I'm talking about President Louis Mussington. He's my guest for today, and I would certainly hope that you would share, like, and make sure that you stay tuned. Well, with that said, good afternoon to you, Mr. President. It's good to have you.
Good afternoon to you too. Good afternoon to your listening audience. Thank you so much for having me with you today on this talk show.
Yeah, and I can't help but reminding you that there have been many attempts to try and get you in, but you're always very busy.
Well, I've been busy for quite some time, but I'm here today, and I want to reassure you that I'll be looking forward to this opportunity to come to visit you as often as I can, owing to the fact that election on the northern side is right around the corner.
Yeah.
So as much as you're willing to have me, I'll be willing to be a guest on your show.
This is not your first show that you've been doing. You've been making a case, I guess, for your definite re-election by visiting all.
Not as yet, but it's part of the organization that we're putting together.
Okay.
That I will be doing radios and TV shows as often as I can to at least making my case for re-election. That's correct. Yes.
But in the meantime, if you're going to tackle the elephant in the room, it has been rumored that you're tight up for money. You just don't have funds available on the French part of the island. What truth is there to that? Because that's what everybody's saying.
We must do not have money, or the government do not have money.
The government actually.
Well, no, that's why I'm here. We have specifically to clear the air on that. It's government, so therefore you would have to make sure you balance your budget on an annual basis, and that you could maintain the operation cost, and also you can carry out the investment program. We are at that stage where we just voted our budget a month or two ago, but we have to go back to the how should I say, the new assembly, a new meeting of the territorial council. Two meetings are scheduled, one on the 5th of June and the other one on the 26th, somewhere around there. I don't have correctly the dates. Yes, because we have to make some adjustments to the 2026 budget, owing to the fact that we have just received a document. We have been notified by the prefect, who looks at the budget and to make sure that everything is according to the procedures, owing to the fact that we have the collectivity have been condemned by the highest court in France, which we call the Cour de Cassation, for a situation that occurred that was written into effect long before my time, and has to do with the gas situation. There's a gas tax that has been implemented as early as 2007 or 2008, if I'm not correct. with the date. I apologize for that. And Delta Petroleum chose at a given moment to introduce a court case against the collectivity at the time, stating that the tax in itself has no legal foundation. The collectivity back then won the two early stage of the court proceedings, but on the final decision, which is the highest court, they turned down all of the previous decisions and concluded that the tax is illegal. Therefore, we have to reimburse. So we have to modify because annually we were collecting around 8 to 9 million euros. So they estimate that this money has to be reimbursed. So and whatever is registered or inscribed on a budget have to be removed as well. So we have to introduce a modification to do a deliberation to modify that situation that we are confronted with, which we are presently confronted. So that will take place on the 25th of June month. Again, if the date is correct, to have that situation rectified, along with two other situations where we have to make adjustments as well. But that does not take away our willingness, our ability to carry out most of the investment that is scheduled for 2026 and beyond. That's what I'm here to clarify. We are still in a position where we could handle operation costs and at the same time carry out our investment budget. But we have to take some precautionary measures to make sure that we don't overspend. Okay? And that's where we are. But from what I have gathered thus far is that there are those who are taking great pleasure in going around spreading rumors that we are not in a position to carry out our operation on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, they went as far as arguing in a very ridiculous manner that we are under higher supervision. Nothing is further from the truth. Now, I want to agree and accept the fact that within this period from now until March 2027, there would be comments. Some will have foundation, other would be completely or totally unfounded. But I will accept it because it's within this electoral period. Okay, so I will allow them to when they're feeling, if it helps their cause, okay, let them say what they want to say. But the truth and fact is that we in a position where, okay, just indicated, future adjustments have to be made to the budget, but that will not hamper what is in the pipeline in terms of our investment program. Okay. That is critical to us based on the fact that I have committed myself as president or as leader of the party back in 2022 to live up to our commitment, and that is to invest heavily in areas of urgent concerns to the country and to its people. In that, we are sticking to our guns. And I'm saying here in uncertain terms that if we were not in a position or able to carry out the whole entire investment program between 2022 and 2027, it will be my great pleasure with much delight that we will carry on those investment programs between 2027 and 2032. Okay, so therefore, I'm advocating strongly that there will be urgent need for elections to finish up what we have began in 2022.
The financial constraints that you're dealing with as your investment into Antilles have anything to do with
that too has been strongly added or commented by the opposition, who seems to be having a field day with the fact that Antilles no longer exists. It's very grateful that most of the severe comments or negative comments came from not the outsiders, even though we know that there are some people in Guadeloupe who did their utmost to make sure that Antilles did not survive the sabotage efforts that was engaged by many because they felt that it was too much for St.Maarten to enjoy an airline of its own. But again, the sad reality today is that you had your own elected people in opposition who take great pride and joy in being more severe in their criticism. Let me clarify that situation so that the listening audience would understand that it was not something that haphazardly took place. Yes, it is initially a result of a bankruptcy situation with the former owners of the airline. But we seized an opportunity because we strongly argued the importance of developing two important infrastructure, looking at port and airport. And any citizen or any politician, and at least someone aspiring to high office, will know and understand that most of the revenues are generated from between port and airport events, in terms of organization or economic activity. That's where revenues are generated. That's where job opportunities are created. So it's from this perspective that I came when the idea was introduced to me. When I saw the situation, I said, God is good. Why? Because I thought about it during the campaign, I mentioned it, and here comes opportunity before me to say, seize it, take on that airline, which will give you exactly the gateway towards developing your airport, thus paving the way for job opportunities, more economic activities in terms of other airlines outside of Air Antilles and Air Caraïbes coming to Grand Cas Airport. You will be able to have other airlines also, or your Air Antilles airline that you own will be also doing other destinations within the Caribbean. And in saying that, I want to add to that the fact that Prime Minister Gaston Brown, Prime Minister Philip of St. Lucia, the one of the ministers, and St. Kitts, they were all enthusiastic of the idea of working with us to create what they call Caribbean connectivity. In other words, connection via the air of having airlines in and out of St. Maarten via Grand Cars. That, when I talk about the development of the airport, this is what I had envisaged, that we have other flights going in and coming out, leaving, taking off from Grand Cars. And that would have triggered that new dynamic approach that I strongly believe was crucial to the development of the airport and to the island on a whole. Okay? But the regretful thing is that right from the start, and I said indicated earlier, there were those in the former owners of the airline, who disapproved the idea of we bidding, submitting a bid, a proposal, and winning, because we were able to convince the judge of the commercial tribunal that we had a right approach. Okay? And they didn't accept that, didn't win them well. So whatever measure they could have put in place to implement to sabotage our efforts. Can you imagine that a pilot from the airline saw the injustice that was going on, or the approach that was so ridiculous, and instead of a criminal behavior, every time there's a period of time when money can be made, okay, there could be a better turnover. That's when they order the planes to be grounded for maintenance. There's Easter, there's Christmas, there's, those events where people are traveling in and out of Guadeloupe. That's the time when they choose, the supervisor chose to ground the airlines for the Air Antilles airline for maintenance. And he came to my office to share. So one more here, evidence that you needed to conclude and to understand clearly the efforts to destroy the airline.
So you're saying,
and they managed to, from within the company, that there was a sabotage, along with other measures where you had other unforeseen situations that was very costly. For example, the airlines had to go all the way to Morocco for general repair.
Yes.
Those are some very costly operations. So you have two ATL plus ATL 72, ATL 42, and at a different period they had to travel that long distance to be for maintenance, because it was less costly, yet it was a severe blow to budget.
Would you consider something like that? Any risk factor that you had to give consideration to?
Well, like I said, those are factors that played significantly in the financial sustainability of the airline.
Okay.
Okay, so I recognize that. But I'm saying here, if uh, there was lesser critical approach in a concerted effort to guarantee the survival of the airline, today you would have been operational. And in addition to that, uh, with the close working relationship with the Caribbean islands, who were very much in favor. Like I said, I had the discussions with these prime ministers in their office, okay, both in Antigua and also in St. Lucia, in a phone conversation with St. Kitts. You know, to me, that would have paved the way for injection of capital from these different islands who are so much interested in making sure that there's mobility of their people. In other words, the possibility for them to be traveling, to move around between the different Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
And that is to be able to answer for both the airline, the Caribbean, but also the answer for the Green Cross Airport in itself.
Okay.
So that they killed that idea.
So that was your optimism.
That was my optimism.
Okay.
To be honest with
you. The thing is, though, that you put a lot of money into Air Antilles. Could you tell us
20 million,
exactly?
20 million, to be honest. But
It
was not 20 million that you voted on one budget. It was like over a period of time, because you would create a company, which to create a company costs us 1 million point two. Then you had to do a first injection of 6 million. But those were loans. The 6 million period were loans that should be reimbursed at a given time. But given the situation today where you file bankruptcy, it's impossible to be reimbursed because there are other priorities, because the administrator have to now do the priorities as to who will be paid out and based on how much is owed to them. So,
would you be able to get back some of that money at all?
Well, there's still a hope, but I want to be very reasonable. If ever you could get back some, it won't be tomorrow. They won't be tomorrow. So let's say it's a last case. I would be honest and very transparent with the listening audience. It's like, yeah, you could consider it a dead case.
How do you feel about it?
Well, very much troubled by it because it's still taxpayers' money. Okay, but mad with those who really, like I said, who could have given a helping hand, and instead of doing so, were very much critical with the approach. Okay, and tried to they've done their utmost to kill the spirit. But the dream of developing the airport lives on. Okay, because there was that possibility of lengthening the runway from where it is right now to 1,500 meters more. And that would have put us in a favorable position to accommodate other airlines coming out of the US.
But that was going on even
No,
before
it was just talk, okay? And during the last 5 years before us, the previous government had put a request on that, said they won't go any further.
Okay.
But when we came into government, we said, bluntly, we are going to pursue that dream because developing the airport was and still remains a priority for this government. And I was hoping that to consolidate and guarantee the sustainability of the airline, I was prepared to go to Brussels and prepared to go to the French government to say, here now we have an airline that is operational and that seems to be on its way to prosperity. Now we are asking to help us finance the cost. We're looking at 18 to 19 billion euros. And I was hoping to go into some serious discussion with them to help us support, to support our financial plan to lengthen the airstrip. And that, like I said, would have paid the way for what the whole business plan was all about. And in addition to that, there was also a hangar that could have come into effect there too, and do maintenance of those two aircrafts and other additional aircraft, some other airlines in the Caribbean. So the plan was major, was huge, and I was and very ambitious, and that ambitious part of it was killed by, like I said, opposition who have no understanding of what economic development is. Here we are. They approached me of carrying up extensively the operation cost. It's the budget in itself in terms of the monthly salaries employees. We moved from, they claim that from when they were there it was 44 million euros, today it's 64 million. So they're accusing me of 20 million more in terms of the gross salary.
Mhm.
And I said, yes,
Of government workers.
the agreement government, yes, we are not 1,200, no, 300, if I'm not mistaken with the figure. But here's the thing, when we got there, a lot of unemployment in the country, a lot of instability, people hurting, suffering, especially single mothers. They came crying on their knees to me. Okay, as president, I could not have overlooked those urgent social situations. So yes, I did make some efforts and hire some of them. But in addition to those that you hire on social grounds, there were also some professionals that you had to hire because today, and this is what the opposition failed to understand. That's why things were stagnant, nothing concretely has been done during their mandate. We are under Article 74. We have the competence of what the commune used to do before 2007 when we became the new collectivity governed under Article 74 of the French Constitution. So we are today a commune, we are a department. Those are political institutions that you have in Guadeloupe. Conseil territorial, Conseil départemental, and also Conseil régional. So three entities merge in one, and you now have to assume all those competence. Okay?
Under Article 74.
Under Article 74. So which means that there was an urgent need to hire qualified St.Maarteners, and that's what I tried to do, make sure most of them were St.Maarteners, to assume greater responsibilities, especially when it comes to the investment program, because you got to put on buildings. So you need young men trained with a certain know-how and understanding to work in the technical department. In other legal services, economic services, wherever we know that we now in charge, we have to make an extra effort to hire young, competent St.Maarteners to be in those key managerial positions. I did that, and that too has a cost to it.
So
and
all of
let
them
me
you
just
hired.
add finally, there's some outstanding, what do we call that? Not bills, but subsidies of funds that have to be paid out to the workers that the previous government ignored. And we make it our business once we get it to the 206 million euros.
So you
So
find
you
ways
just
to pay it out.
you pay out what was owed to the workers because they were entitled
Okay.
to those benefits, but they ignore that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. Okay?
All right.
So
Let me take a break quickly because at about that time. This is Viewpoint. I'm here with President Louis Mussington. When we come back, we'll talk to him about the report that monies that were left, a surplus on the budget, and to do some finished projects, whether they were completed or not. But we let him speak towards that. We'll be right back after this. Okay, folks, welcome back to the program. I'm here with the president of the collectivity of Friends St. Maarten, Monsieur President Louis Mussington, and it's good to have him. Mr. Mussington, let's continue where we left off. There were some allegations as far as, well, when it comes to the depletion of your budget. They're saying, their folks were saying that there were some unfinished projects which monies were earmarked to actually reconstruct, like the sports field, and cultural centers, etc. What's going to happen to those?
no, here's the thing, and this is not the first time I'm hearing that. They even argue that, but they attempt to argue that they're forcefully in the council, and we had to set the record straight. They had in the pipeline, yes, the construction of this junior high school in the Savannah Grand Cars, which is a project that we just completed. The 500 students who were housed at the lycée in Grand Cars, the Savannah, are now into their brand new modern junior high school. Okay, because we had the wisdom and the understanding as to how to do things. They had an estimated project for 25 or 26 million euros. but there's so many things, aspects of that to that building which has been ignored. Okay, and we know it's like we scrapped that because it has no foundation for what they were trying to do, and we as a more trained and organized government, we went over everything, and we now today have been able to deliver a 44 million modern high school, junior high school. We purchased land, we reevaluate the certain aspects of the project in itself. And that's why today, everyone, the rector himself who came from Boston, which is the head of the school, the educational department, said this is one of the most modern high schools in the whole nation of France. Okay? It's a very costly operation, and we pay that out from our funds. In other words, there were three entities, which is state, Europe, and another state funds that came into it to support the cost, but there was no bank loan on that. Same is valid also for the junior high school in French Quarter, which has been completely renovated. And by the end of this month or beginning of June month, we're going to turn over that also to the educational authorities. And that is a 27 million operation. So, and again, we didn't have no bank loan on that. What I'm trying to indicate here is that in both for both investment program, we did it from our pockets, in other words, from our funds, no additional bank loans. But most importantly, we had to review the same thing, like I said, I've indicated in regards to the Savannah Junior High School. Same thing. We had to go over the whole program to have it done the way we want it done, taking into account all the modern systems that you could think of. And I'll be happy one of these days to do a tour with you when there more anybody else who willing to see what we have been able to achieve for our youngsters, because we lay great emphasis on a quality of education. And I got me being in the school system for 20, no, 30 to 40 years. I insisted that we do everything in accordance with guidelines, transparency, but most importantly, take into account where we want to go. I would like that those two junior high schools to produce the young minds that this country will be calling on in the next 10 or 15 years. So you have to make sure that all equipments are modern, the new tools are used, in terms from a technological standpoint, will permit them to acquire as much knowledge as possible. So I'm very much pleased and satisfied with what we have been able to do on this ground. So when they try to argue unreasonably that it's their project and we haven't come up with anything of our own, not that's further from the truth. Let me explain. We purchased a piece of property in sandy ground, okay, on which we're going to now, soon by now to the end of the year, begin 12 million, construct a 12 million project, which is called Cultural Center of Sandy Ground. Again, a modern building with seating capacity 500, and different arts, dancing music rooms and different facilities that in the afternoon hours the kids can go there just next to the school and be very much comfortable with the different after school activities which will be organized for them. We also, they are dragging their feet on the Mediatek in Concordia, which is a 12 million program that we put in place.
Who is dragging their feet? You are in charge, right?
No, I'm saying opposition dragged their feet because they had no vision. They had no clear plan of action. So they were just turning in a circle, going nowhere. So it's when we got there, when we hold the bull by his horns and decide we must deliver on these various operations. Okay? And like I said, we had to go over everything because nothing was properly done. It's like they have no understanding as to what was necessary or critical for the country. But we have shown that we rise to the occasion and we have been able to deliver. Right now, the Mediatek itself will be ready for, if not at the end of this year, early part of 2027. And Grand Canal, there's a project that is in the next 2 months. We are working closely with the St.Maarten, who has a clear mandate from the government to construct a center to house all the associations and also to house a section of the tourist office and other institutions in that location, Grand Cars, where the old school was. A brand new modern building will be constructed there as well. But in addition to that, we also renovated completely the fire department in Massavan. In addition to the to the renovation of the building, the, they had a system in place where they were the fire department was governed uh, via a convention, an agreement, a contract by the fire department in Guadeloupe. I say after 15 years, we still relying on Guadeloupe to manage the fire department for us. And I said, this must not happen on my watch. And immediately we went to France and began the process or the procedure. And today we're at the stage now we are managing our own fire department. And the urgent service, they call it service d'urgence, emergency service, which when you call, you get to someone in Bastille, Guadeloupe, who don't speak French, who don't know where you are geographically located. We're changing our system within the next 2 months. We're going to put in our own system in place where when you call, someone will answer you in French or in English and will be able to come and get you. All depends on the seriousness of the situation, the emergency situation. Will come and get you with the ambulance or whatever facility that is needed. And this is something that we come up with on our own because they just felt confident. They felt comfortable with the old system where Guadeloupe dictates. We are saying if we fought to become Article 74 to govern our own affairs, then we must take on all of our responsibilities. Yeah. So we are at that stage right now as far as the fire department is concerned. And as far as the sport infrastructure is concerned, we will be starting the construction of our stadium to house all CONCACAF games. Work will start by now to June, no, more than July, September, October of 2026. And that is a state-of-the-art project that we are taking very seriously. And the same thing is for the Marriott Stadium. So when you hear these useless talks come up, please do not pay attention. Just know that it's a team at work because we believe and really we're very ambitious to believe that we have to be honest to our people and we are working, making sure things happen in their best interest.
Yeah, but Mr. Mussington, when I listen to you, it sounds like you've been doing quite some spending.
But that's what you're elected to do. Spend the investment money that was budgeted and making sure. Now, the opposition claimed that they left money in the coffers, but they also, yes, I will agree that they left some money in the coffers, but they fail to understand that out of the money that they left, the government took back 25 million. Can you imagine a government where the state representative in Guadeloupe came one day and said the government of St.Maarten do not need the 25 million euros granted to them because there's no operation to justify the spending of this 25 million. So they took it back. And I told my team when we got there, never will this happen on my watch. If there's a grant of 2 euros, make sure there's a project to consume these 2 euros. Okay, that's what they feel miserably to do. In addition to that, they owe the Social Security millions. They owe the how you call it, those who provide the phone sale. Oh my God, you know it is the suppliers, the suppliers. No. I'm speaking English. That's another situation. I believe strong in bilingual education. If I'm speaking French, I'm speaking French. If I'm speaking English, I'm speaking English. The system treats us in a way that we would have to begin the sentence in French and complete it in English because we can't have all the words necessary. I have a clear-cut program when it comes to promoting true bilingual education in this country. In other words, to make sure that every child in the school system on the northern side of St.Maarten will be able to express himself with the same level of fluency both in French and English. This is my program, and I'm not cutting any of those opposition members to politicians to say we have to back up Mussington on this program. So to go back to the statement that was made that they left money in the coffers, the money that they left was used to pay bills that were not paid. The 6 billion that I mentioned that was paid out to the workers, that was not owed to them in 2022. It was owed to them since 2017 when they took office, but they didn't see it as an urgent priority. They felt that things was good with everybody. But when we got there, we understand how much our people were suffering. So therefore, there was an urgent need to deal with their situation. So we paid out all those bills that were owed to St. Maarten workers, and therefore we, after that, we moving in a very forceful and in an aggressive manner in terms of the investment program that is now, you're seeing certain, how should I say, presentation in terms of the school, the junior high school, where now the children are feeling so happy in their school. The fire department workers, the firemen are so happy that they are now in a brand new building, and on we go.
Is it true that you have asked for cooperation to low cost, and then maybe this is for the next budget that you have planned, so that you can get through this and you ask it for the understanding to get through this difficult period? Is that an admission that
Accepted to do what? Sorry, I didn't get a question.
you're counting on cooperation and understanding to help get through this difficult period? And that has to do
Counting
with
on cooperation from home, with home, or from home, or with
this is
home.
a document that was issued. I think you issued this document to make a general state of affairs as to where you are going through financial struggles. So I'm asking you if you actually ask for folks to lower their costs as you go through this difficult period.
When you say folks, ask folks for that. Who folks
The
are you
different,
referring
the
to?
different departments, all the
Oh,
stakeholders.
okay. I mean, there's different services within the collectivity.
Exactly.
No, we asked them to review operation costs. Yes, which is a logical thing that any government that is faced with, let's say, certain situations, critical in the sense that yes, you have the budget of 2026 is 270 million euros. In terms of operation costs, we're
You want to
looking
know
at
that?
170 million in 5 million. No, so 275. So it's 275 million. So 170 for operations section, and in investment section we have 101 million euros. So since this situation came up where now we make some adjustments on the budget in regards to what we have to pay back, given the fact that there's this court decision. It has impacted our budget, yes. So it's in this setting that we said, okay, let's look at operation costs and see where we can do some cutbacks. Yes, that was introduced, but that document that circulated on the market, and if you can find out who has done that, could be punished severely because it was not it was an interior document that was being which has been discussed on the inside, but there are those, well, again, it's part of the whole opposition strategy to try to weaken us as of now. Okay, but the good thing is that we are in a position where we could honor our commitments, and I thank God for that. So I'm not worried and trouble better. But yes, if there's areas where we could make some cutbacks, we would gladly do so. Yes.
Do you expect any different from your opposition, but to look at the critical part of
Yeah,
the
I expect them to be men and women and to act responsibly in the council. Because all they have been able to do is to which is what they're very talented and gifted to do, which is to be critical. But in terms of a constructive approach to dealing with situations, say, here, this is our program. Or suggestions and recommendation to you to be taken or not to be taken. But I haven't experienced that for the last, well, 4 years now that since we're in office. I haven't experienced, like I say, a constructive move, ambitious move in the sense where we look at, because you got to know when to play the political card and when to say, okay, it's time that we hold hands and do what is best in the interest of the country. That I didn't get.
Mm.
From day one, they were very critical. Okay? And if they ever do make a suggestion, it was because it was going to serve their interest, and then it would have given them bragging rights, to go and say, they do that because we tell them to do that. So when everything you analyze where they're coming from, you didn't sense it was genuine or a concerted effort to say let's hold hands with Mussington or Mussington government because what he's aiming at would serve the general interest. Okay, to the point where when we make some requests to obtain some bank loans or some advances on certain grants that was coming from government, French government, but because because of the financial situation the French government is experiencing presently, they're dragging their feet. So what? Because we believe that these operations are so essential to be carried out, we look to the banks to assist us in advancing us the monies to the tune of 12 million euros. But they all know what the purpose of the money that we was requesting from the banks. It was to finish out the college and the senior and junior high school in Grand Cars in Savannah. It was to begin the first phase of the Sandy Ground Cultural Center. It was to support the finishing project operation in the Savannah as far as the fire department is concerned. It was to support the first phase of the stadium in the French Quarter. No, Marigot firstly. So that 12 million euros only enjoy the support of the ruling majority in government, not one of the opposition. Even, for example, my good friend Giro Charleville knew fully well that the 3 million was requested by a particular bank to begin phase one of the cultural center in Standing Ground, where he resides. He voted against. So this is why I'm questioning what's the purpose? What are you there for? To kill this government or to see the country advance?
But you've never get any resistance in your own party at any time
Resistance on my part.
in terms of not agreeing with certain decisions.
Well, recently you had a situation where over the water, the new water plant that we're supposed to construct, I had some resistance from the person that I've nominated to be president of that institution. Yes.
But
And then yes, I had another situation where another member voted against a project that was crucial to the development of the country. Yes, I faced that recently. But I'm pleased with the fact that for over the last 4 years, you just had a clear majority very supportive of the actions that you wanted to implement. But again, we are 10 months away from elections, and these becomes possibilities where this one would react because maybe they have other ulterior motive, or they now setting up themselves to either run on their own or to merge with another party. I don't know what the situation is, but it doesn't bother me. I'm not troubled by that situation because I continue to enjoy the full support, and I thank God for that, of the people who can clearly see and understand that this team is not sitting down. We are busy every day trying to accomplish our mission.
I don't have a lot of time, but I do have a subject matter that I wanted as briefly as you can. Anything have gone into unity issues, French and Dutch, as far as some of the promises made for St. Martin's Day? Because that is something that is sorely missing.
Yes, it is so.
It flares up every time.
I know both of us, Mr. Prime Minister Marcelina and myself, we were both taking up with daily issues. It's not an easy task for us. So we didn't have all the time to meet as often as but we made a commitment because 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we met at the collectivity in Marigot with a promise that on the 4th of June we will meet back right here in Great Bay to follow up on certain decisions and strengthen and reinforce certain agreements that we believe are necessary. We're looking at the traffic situation because both of us have that clear understanding that it's a matter that has to be resolved as quick as possible. Otherwise, we will be stuck with a situation where the guests who have been coming over these last 20, 50 years to this land will choose to go towards other destinations because right now, as it unfolds, it's like bumper to bumper on a daily basis. Before it used to be around rush hours, but it's constant that we have these traffic. So we need to look at, and we talk about openly about the Marigot Road. What's the possibility of making that happen? But in between time, we're looking at what urgently we can do in terms of creating awareness and how the traffic, what we can do as citizens too, as drivers on the road, in order to permit a more fluid approach in terms of cars moving from one point A to point B with relative ease. But in addition to that, we've been discussing a very serious issue that has my attention. It has to do with water. They are considering a new facility, whether it's a private entity, but a facility, a water production plant down in the lowlands area, somewhere around Copper. And I'm very much interested in that project, owing to the fact that we have to decide on constructing a new plant within the next 5 years. The existing water plant is failing miserably, and therefore we have to phase reinforce that structure until a new facility can be constructed. But there's a misunderstanding. Different two approach. One is to say 9,000 cubic meter production, water production on a daily basis. Others are saying 13,000 cubic meter production daily. But the thing is, one's going to cost us 35 million and the other one is going to cost 45 million. It's a 10 million difference. So we need to agree on that. But I said to Prime Minister, if the facility that they're going to introduce or build within the next year or two, if we can work on an agreement, then we could minimize the investment that has to be made on the northern side in terms of water production. And therefore, we have to look at that very urgently. And that I'm very pleased with that, because if we can save 10 or 15 million euros on the production plan that we're supposed to build, and we know that we could have that connection between them and us, that will be a step in the right direction in regards to cooperation. That we will give full meaning to true cooperation between both sides. Mm-hmm. And I believe strongly, someone who's strongly advocating education, let's look at how we can get our teachers to sit together and what kind of common classroom program we could implement in the area of health care. It bothers me to know that if our MIR machine is down, we can't automatically come over here and get the test or the exam done. So let's look at how we can settle it, especially with the new facility. I don't know how long it's going to last, take before they can have it, and it could be in full operation. But these are the areas in healthcare where I think we could do more and be more supportive of each other and really serve the cooperation cause very effectively. And again, in the best interest of the entire island.
Yeah, yes. You're talking about health costs. But to wrap it up, isn't there an existing connection as far as water is concerned? The eastern
but we have not been able to use it because of two occasions where our plant had experienced some difficulties. At the same time, your production cost and the production possibility has been lowered, so therefore unable to supply water on the northern side. Mm-hmm. But there is an agreement that was worked on, I think in 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
So you still having water issues?
Yes. No, at this stage, no, because but I think some of the technicians from the southern side came over and do some serious repair work on the facility in Gallis Bay. So we are now back up to the 6,000 cubic meter per day that is produced by the plant in Gallis Bay. But how long that facility will resist is an unknown situation, which we have to monitor on a regular basis. And with the support of some European funds, we're looking at between 7 and 10 million investment over the next 3 years to strengthen the facility to make sure that we doesn't lose out on water production on a daily basis.
Can you in a minute wrap it up by giving some type of assurance to folks that you're in control of what's going on in French Valley?
Well, firstly, let me thank you for this opportunity to be here to try to counteract the negative vibes that have been circulating. Firstly, it was said that we are under higher supervision, which is not necessarily from the truth. Secondly, we don't have the means to carry out our investment program. No, it's not true. It's unfounded. And thirdly, we are standing strong as a team. And all I'm asking for is that people to continue to trust this government headed by Louis Mussington. I mean well for this country. I'm working on a program for the young people. My program to have a phase of the University of Guadeloupe on St.Maarten is still in the pipeline. I'm working on it. I also talked about a nursing school for this country. I get some setback on it, but I'm picking up back that dossier very seriously. I spoke to the rector in Guadeloupe and also the Ministry of Health Services in Paris to give their full backing to that project. We just doubled the scholarship for for our students. We want to maybe add some more to that because the European funds that could be utilized strongly to make sure that they get the best means or the funds needed to continue their studies. Like I said, this country is in urgent need of its bright minds. Because if that does not happen, you will have an influx of foreign technicians who will be making decisions on your behalf and which not necessarily will be in your best interest. Already you have a situation where some technocrats were sitting in office, which I condemned the other day in the prefecture. I said we gotta bring this system to an end where some technocrats in Paris will sit totally ignorant of the St.Maarten reality and making key decisions that are not necessarily in our best interest. So I'm going to make sure that that doesn't continue, that those practices come to an end. So I'm looking forward to their support because elections are on the corner, but I'll come more in detail and explain more why I'm seeking their support for a new mandate and how important it is to continue to work in the best interest of this country.
Mr. President, I got to leave it there because we past time. But I want to thank you so much for making the time to at least come and answer to the many critics or criticism that might be leveled against your government. We wish you all the best, and hopefully things can shape up for all of us here in St.Maarten, especially when it comes to the unity that should exist between us both. That's it for today, folks. Friday. We'll be back again on Monday, God's willing. An invitation for you to join us then. I want to say merci beaucoup to the president.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And look forward to having him back so that he can, share more of what he needs to share with the general public. That's it for today. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.